Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to East Carolina University. You are joining us today for Pirate Parents Live. Our topic today is about Greek life, and we've got a wonderful panel here. I'm going to introduce you to the panel in just a minute. My name is Chris Stansberry. I'm the Associate Vice Chancellor for the Division of Student Affairs, and happy to be moderating today's conversation. For those of you that are watching live, feel free to type in your questions in the comment section of Facebook Live. We've got folks that are monitoring that, and we'll pose those questions as they come up. If you have questions about where to find resources, ask that on there too, and we'll give you the links as we go. If you're watching the archived edition, still feel free to reach out to any of those links online or to contact the Greek Life office if you have questions, and we'll be reaching back out and making sure that we get those answers to you as quick as possible. So without further ado, I'm going to step out of the way. I'm going to introduce our panel, and we're going to get going with questions on today's topic for Greek life. Starting here on the end, we have Steve Albert, Alpha Tau Omega with IFC. He joined in fall 2015 as the current ATO president, and he is also a current student here at ECU. To Steve's left, we have Jerisha Jacobs. She is an ECU alum from 2015, currently works in the Dean of Students office. Her Greek affiliation is Sigma Omicron Epsilon with the Multicultural Greek Council. Next to her, we have Jessie Ashton. Jessie is not an ECU alum, but we have absorbed her as if she's one of the Pirate Nation for sure. She joined the Pi Beta Phi Fraternity for Women Panhellenic Association in 2010 at the University of Alabama, and she is our Assistant Director of Greek Life. KJ Staten, Phi Beta Sigma, NPHC. He crossed in December 2017. He is a current student and the NPHC President. And definitely last but not least, Michelle Whaley. She is Alpha Omicron Pi Panhellenic Association 1991 graduate. She's a parent, an alum, and a relations advisor for that chapter. So first of all, for our panel, thank you for being a part of today. I want to start off, and I'm going to start off with you, Steve, and just say, in just a couple of seconds, 30 or 40 seconds, talk to us from your perspective. Why should somebody be interested in Greek life if they're coming to East Carolina?
Personally, I think the opportunities are endless. There's so much that Greek life provides and so much out there for you to explore on ECU's campus. I think when I came into school, I didn't have the idea of joining Greek life. I didn't think it was for me, but I rushed and I saw the opportunities, and it's gotten me so far at school doing things such as this, and just everything that it comes along with has been very beneficial, and it's made my college experience a lot better than I thought it would.
Okay. Tracy?
For me, I would probably say the reason I joined is the relationships that I know would help me build professionally and during my education at ECU. I think that I was able to get access to tutor if I needed it. As a sister, may have taken that class before, and then professionally, I've been able to have people read over stuff before I turned it in, make sure it sounded good, stuff like that.
Jessie?
I would just say it's a really unique opportunity to get connected on campus, to meet staff, faculty who really want to invest in you because of that shared bond. And it's a really cool way to find your team at ECU. I know when I joined in college, it was really all about finding that team I always had in high school, and it's continued to be that team for me into my alumni life, and I do it for a living now.
KJ?
I would have to say, honestly, it would be the experience. I came in as a non-traditional student here at ECU, and I had no interest in going Greek. But when I got here, I found out very quickly that the experience that I was going to gain from being in Greek life was going to help me become more rounded. I know a lot of times we like to tend to think about just GPA and academics. That is, of course, the focus of my experience here at ECU, but being a part of Greek life has helped me to become a more rounded individual while being here.
Okay, Michelle?
As an old alum and a parent, I think the kids summed it up well, but I do think it helps you find your place as you are exploring and finding your way and what you want to do with your life. So it definitely gives you your place. There's also, as they said already, so many opportunities, leadership opportunities, a way to get involved, networking connections that you will use the rest of your life that as an alum, I still use today. So I think the rest of them summed it up nicely.
Thank you for that. To Steve and KJ, student perspective, you both mentioned in your opening comments that you didn't really think that it was going to be a Greek experience for you when you came, but now you're either a chapter president or a council president. Talk about once you got here, what changed, what happened, what clicked for you?
Well, I saw, you mean as far as like,
What changed your mind or what made you get engaged?
So when I saw the opportunities and I saw the guys in leadership positions, I said, that's me. I can see myself there. And joining, I was just trying to kind of get my feet wet, get into things. and really get my boundaries for school as far as how to handle classes. But once I started to meet more people and start to connect with a lot more organizations, it really drove me to that leadership position and to do well for my fraternity as well as IFC and help in any way I can on campus. So just seeing that leadership role opportunity really changed my mind and made me go Greek.
For me, I kind of saw a trend. In most of the most influential areas on campus, the hand of Greek life was there somewhere. There were students from all aspects, from all backgrounds, fields of study that I either found interesting or things that I aligned with as far as principles wise. These students were in each one of these very, very intricate parts of how ECU ran as a community. And I wanted to be really involved. I wanted to go head first when I got here to ECU. So I said, you know what, maybe this is an area that I can maybe explore. And by exploring it, I found that it definitely has opened so many doors, so many levels of opportunity for me. It's been an exciting experience since I've been at ECU.
Jesse, if you would, give us a little snapshot of Greek life at ECU. Talk about, maybe this is somebody who's watching this as a parent of a first-year student, maybe their first generation, so this is a brand new experience even for them as parents. Give me a little bit about the number of chapters, how the councils work, and then maybe how many students overall participate in Greek life.
Yeah, so we have about 39 chapters right now, represented by 4 different councils. So we have our National Panhellenic Council that KJ is the president of, and then our Interfraternity Council, our Multicultural Greek Council, and our Panhellenic Association. So those 4 councils govern our 39 organizations that have about 3,000 students, a little under 3,000 students right now. And there's something for everybody in Greek life. There's different opportunities depending on what you're looking for. And one of the cool things that we see is students really grow and come into their own through these organizations. And so they give you an opportunity depending on what your best fit is to find your little niche on campus.
Teresa, you worked in Greek life for a little while. You have the Greek experience from being a student. Now as an employee, putting that lens on, talk about the support that our Greek students get and the commitment from the university to support those students.
Sure, I don't even think I would have had the opportunity had I not been in Greek life. I think that I would have been too afraid. So I think that, my advisor for MGC at the time, she definitely helped instill like that kind of support and like, you can do it, just try your best. And if you did make a mistake, she was always there to, help us out. And I think that kind of leadership throughout, my time, even as an employee in Greek life, has kind of helped mold how I operated and such.
Michelle, from a parent perspective, talk about that. The support that you've seen the students get, your student in particular, but other students, they're not left on their own. There is support for the students as they go through Greek.
There's a ton of support, both internally and externally. They have the support of obviously their chapter and their sisters, but what I love about ECU is how all of the groups support each other. If they're having a philanthropy event, they're gonna go and support them, and likewise. The support, no matter what group you're in, they partner together to do charity events, they get involved, not just on ECU campus, but it reaches out into the community, whether it's the Ronald McDonald House or the hospital or different organizations. So I love that they don't keep it contained on campus. They actually get involved in the community. And again, big picture, they may not think about this freshman year, they get to be a senior. Who have I met in my community that can help me? That may or may not be part of Greek life. Networking is huge, stepping outside of that comfort zone. So I think it's huge. You also have the staff at ECU that is going to help them. But you have alumni like myself. I'm fortunate to live local, so I can still be involved and I can still be an advisor. So the reach is just far and wide. And what I always go, and I'm the alumni relations liaison advisor. When I get a group of seniors, I tell them, no matter where your next step is, you're going to find somebody in Greek in whatever community you move to. And they won't care if you went to the same undergrad program. They will be there just by having that bond. And they don't always think about, at the beginning, how they really can build and what it would lead to, but it is all true. It sounds, too good to be true, but it is true.
If you're watching the live edition, go ahead, feel free to post questions and comments in the comment section down there. We've got folks monitoring. We'll be happy to pose those. We actually have one here that I'm gonna get to in just a second that's been sent in to us. But I think we have all 4 of our councils represented. I think either historically or currently. And so one of the things that we regularly hear about is how does the recruitment process work? I know each one is a little bit different, so I put you on the spot as the ATO president, but maybe from an IFC overall, and then we'll just go right on down from the councils. Steve, talk about the process for recruitment as far as it relates to you guys.
Well, as a whole, I think the recruitment process really is set to do a great job in getting the right men and getting them in the right places. I think doing it early in the school year over the first, into the next couple of weeks and spreading it out for 2 weeks is gonna be very beneficial. You really do like a couple informal nights where they come and meet everybody. And then there's some more formal nights where you can get them into maybe a more social setting and really get to know the guys. And I think it's been benefiting ATO because we've been getting very quality men, and I know talking to other organizations in IFC, they're doing the same. So it's been very good, especially over the past couple of years. Trish?
For NGC, they start out with a Greek Diversity Invitational, which allows all of the students who come to see all of the options that are there for them, whether, it be cultural or, or whatever. And from that, they're able to, at the end of the session, they're able to speak with the people from each organization, kind of get a good feel of, what that organization is about. If they have any questions, they can go meet with a sister or brother. And from there, that connection is made and they're able to talk with those people further in their individual information sessions.
Also, I'll talk a little bit about Panhellenic recruitment. Registration closes on August 21st, so that's coming up really quick. That'll be our first primary recruitment process. And they have about 5 days of different rounds where the women get to meet every single chapter, and then they narrow down through a mutual selection process to find the chapter that best fits them for bid day on the Tuesday after school starts.
Okay.
For the MPHC, what we do is on September the 9th, we have a very similar to MGC. We have a day set aside where students can come out and basically meet each one of those organizations that the MPHC oversees. We give them a kind of like a safe space to ask any of those questions, those burning questions that they may have, because a lot of times, especially for incoming students, they've never really heard about Greek life or they don't know much about what the MPHC has to offer. They can be a little bit daunting to step into a room with these organizations, but this is the time for students to come, ask questions, kind of learn about some of the history, dispel any myths that they may think or hear about things like professional dress. How do you come into a business setting? Because a lot of our meetings and programs that we have, you have to come dressed in business attire. So we go through all those kind of things with students, and then after that point, each one of the organizations that are within the MPHC then go throughout their own processes with having programs, meeting students, offering them the opportunity to maybe meet outside of that group setting to have a more intimate time with those organizations.
So I'll go right back down the line with one quick question. If each of you could talk about the timeline of when that process starts, just so that if people are hearing, I've heard about each. Remind me again, because somebody touched on it, but when does that process start for NPHC? We'll work back down.
For NPHC as a whole, we start on September the 9th. It's going to be a meeting in Hendricks at 3 p.m. And then after that point, each one of the organizations will begin to post and let students know when their own processes start and their intake parameters. I don't know which all of those organizations will do for that.
Jesse, Panhellenic.
And then registration is now open for Panhellenic recruitment, and then that will start on August 22nd, and go to the 27th. Yes, 27th. And that registration again closes on the 21st. So get registered now.
I'm actually going to defer to Jesse about when the MGC Greek Diversity Invitational is.
It's September 6th, I believe. But we'll make sure that that's posted. A link to that event is posted on our Facebook page.
But very similar to KJ's process, it will be that general body meeting. They'll be able to talk to those people, and from that, they'll find out the individual organizations' dates and when they start.
I'll also refer to Jesse on the exact dates. I know.
See, there's a lot of support for our students.
I know that we usually do it about a week after Panhellenic or so. We're doing it pretty early, and this year it's starting in the beginning of the week, and then the following week it'll pick back up. Usually it'll be like 4 days in a row, And I think this year having that break and giving guys some time to think, that time frame is a lot more beneficial to them this year. So.
And can I add a sidebar from a
Sure.
parent perspective?
I was coming to you for the next question anyway.
Okay, well, I just want to say, try to encourage your child to make it a unique personal experience, not based on what their roommate might be doing, and kind of take I don't know if you call it the rumor mill or the reputations, kind of with a grain of salt. There's websites out there that rate Greek life or different organizations. Really just try to throw that out the window, make it your journey and where you fit. I've seen so many girls, and I can only speak from a daughter perspective, go in with their mindset on one sorority, and that may not be the sorority for them, and they're crying like pure ugly girl, crying tears. And if they just I really believe the process works the way it's meant to be, and that you end up in your place and that you find your home, and to trust the process and to really just go in it with no preconceived notions and really find the best fit for you, because it's about your 4 years at ECU and future. And I just think sometimes it's easy to get caught up in other people's opinions and factors, and just if there's a way to really encourage them to make it about their journey and what they need and what they're looking for, it's just going to be a win-win for everybody.
And I'm going to come back to you on a question about what conversations parents should have before their students get here. I'm going to come back to that, but we do have a question. Carrie posted this on Facebook. Thank you, Carrie, for the question. This is going to go to really can bet anybody, but she really wants to know the perspective from the students. Her daughter will be a freshman in the School of Music, and she's concerned that she won't be able to handle a full course load and the sorority Greek life responsibilities that would be a part of this. And she would appreciate any of the students' feedback as far as juggling that school life internal, component. So if you guys don't mind sharing, then anybody else that has thoughts too.
Well, it varies from council to council. I know for IFC, you definitely can take a full workload. That first semester, you're learning a lot about your organization and getting acclimated to school, especially if you're coming in as a freshman. But I think it's not a problem taking a full workload. I was at 17 hours in the fall and managed very highly as far as GPA goes. And I just think that organizations provide those opportunities for you to be successful, that they're not going to let you fail. And I think it's definitely doable.
As far as MPHC organizations, I believe we don't take anybody that is a first semester freshman as a whole. And I believe that that's a really good thing. I think it gives time for the student to get acclimated to being, the schedules are different, nobody's gonna wake you up and go to class at this point. And I think that it gives you the opportunity to maybe get really settled and really understand what it's gonna be like now that you're away from maybe a little bit more of having that oversight. It is possible. When I came across and did my intake processes, I had an 18 credit hour class load at that time. I was working 2 jobs, had an internship, as well as going through the intake process. So I know that it is possible, but it is according to each student, and that student has to understand what those benchmarks are. The first thing always is going to be your academics. If it starts to affect your academics, you need to maybe pull back and then realign some of those priorities.
And that really goes even beyond Greek life, right?
Right.
I mean, you'll have some people that I've talked to that play 4 and 5 intramural sports, and they're doing everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to pull the reins back. Jesse, I want to come back to you on follow-up, since she said that she had a daughter specifically.
Mhm.
Anything from the female perspective that you've seen has been successful for students as they try to manage that first semester in the workload?
I think learning to say no is like the hardest thing for college students to do. I mean, I'm still learning and I've been out of college for quite some time now, but I think it's really important to, I think it's really cool that she's already thinking about that and understanding that this is a time commitment and there is going to be some balance that's needed. But I think figuring out, you might not be able to go to every single event, and that's okay. And FOMO is real, but you can overcome that fear of missing out by having conversations with your sisters about hey, I really need to prioritize my studying right now. Will you go to the library with me? Or I really need to be in the gym and to be working out because that's what keeps me sane and healthy. Will you go with me? And so finding those people that will do the things that help you get balance is what's going to be really important in your organization.
So Michelle, from a parent perspective, obviously you're wanting your daughter to get a degree. That's the reason they're coming to college, right? That's why they're coming.
That's why they're here.
So talk about it from a parent perspective, since a large chunk of our audience today are parents. What have you seen has been the key thing to help keep on track?
Well, and I think time management is crucial, but that's crucial whether you go Greek or not, kind of like they said. But from a parent perspective, I have a daughter, she's a member of the ECU dance team. Her schedule is extremely crazy. They have practices at night, 6 a.m. workouts, all the games, basketball and football. So kind of like they said, she has to make choices. But one of the questions when she went through this recruitment, she had to find a sorority that would work with her. So she's not penalized for missing a chapter meeting because of practice or because of a football game. And she doesn't get to do as much with her sorority as, you know, maybe she'd like to, but they support her. So they're her biggest fans on game day. They're the biggest ones cheering for her when they see her march up the hill. When she's stressed out, trying to balance the academics and the practices and the Greek life, they're the first ones there to pick her up and support her. So I think that is one of the good questions to ask when you're going through the process. What is the required time commitment? Are there penalties if I have to miss? And what do those penalties look like? So it's a perfect opportunity, again, when you're searching, finding that fit of what's going to work with you. I mean, maybe it's not dance team, it could be marching band, it could be sports, either intramurals or, organized sports. So there's a lot of different activities and opportunities at ECU. You might want to get involved in a different type of club that's related to your major. So what you're willing to put in, you're going to get out, obviously, what you put in it. So my daughter, because of her schedule, has never been able to really run and have a leadership role, but she's still involved and she still can be on committees. So, and I'm just grateful that they do support her and they still are, like I said, they're actually her probably biggest supporters and fans. So it is possible to balance all the balls, but you're going to have to learn to do that in life. So it's a great segue. I mean, academics, even in high school, always came first. And that's why you're here. But it's also a time to explore and try different things. And whether it's in clubs or, there's just so many opportunities here. So whether you go Greek or not, time management and juggling everything is going to be a learned skill. But it makes it a whole lot easier when you have people that understand and accept you for who you are and where you are at your stage, and help build you up, and if you're lacking in something. They're going to be the ones that are going to help you get what you need.
For folks watching live, please continue to post. We have another question that came in. Jesse, I'm going to pose this one to you. It's kind of a brief one, but how much of a factor does grade point average play in the recruitment process?
So we say this a lot in our office, but it depends on the council. So every council has a different GPA requirement. Most of them are either 2.5 or above. I would say some of our IFC groups just bump that to 2.75 for incoming freshmen, and then it varies from council to council, chapter to chapter. But I would say most of them are at least a 2.5 coming in. And that is just so that we know that when you're transitioning into college, those academics are coming first and you're prepared to take on the balance of academics and this experience.
So I want to go to the question that I kind of teased a little while ago, which was the conversations that parents should be having with their students before they get here. Some of the recruitment processes are open already. Some will be coming up in the near future. Hopefully you're already having conversations, parents, with your students about everything. Please, like KJ said, don't call them to wake them up for their 8 o'clock classes. You're not doing them any help with that. But as you're having these conversations, I'm going to start on this side again with Stephen and have each of you kind of touch on this. What would you think would be an important piece of the conversation for a parent and a child to have before they make the decision of going Greek? Steve?
Besides the obvious of just you are here for school, I think definitely explore your options and know your strengths. Play to your strengths, know your time management skills. Don't get into something that's going to take so much of your time or multiple things that are going to take a lot of your time. If you know you just need to get acclimated to school, take care of your schoolwork, and maybe join a club or an organization, definitely get your feet wet a little before you jump in. But I think just getting acclimated is a big talking point, something that should be discussed.
I would probably say make sure they go out and actually, explore all of their options, kind of what you were saying. Sometimes you go in with the preconceived notion that I'm going to go here and, I think that kind of talking to them about being realistic, you may think that this organization sounds great, and then you get in and you meet the people and you're like, they're not really my cup of tea, or, they don't do this like I thought they would. And, just kind of being realistic with yourself and being able to refocus and talk to them about, if this happens, then what's your next step? How would you adjust yourself and your expectations based on that?
I would always recommend parents talk to their students about safety and making sure that safety is a priority in their experience. If they're ever in an uncomfortable situation throughout their process, whether joining or just as a member, feeling comfortable talking to their parent or talking to someone on staff, so we can help them through that experience or anything that goes on.
This question's gonna seem, the question's gonna be really simple, but it's one word, it's why.
Yeah.
Why? You know, why do you want to do this? Leave it open because this is a time for your child to explore. But when you start to ask that question, why? You know, why this particular organization? Why Greek Life? You know, why couldn't you get this experience doing something else? Or what are you going to gain from being a part of this experience? What have you learned? You know, so asking that question, why? What is your why? I think that really helps them to maybe understand the importance of joining this organization. And then moving forward, you'll begin to see that they take that experience a little bit more seriously because they've kind of gotten down to the nitty gritty of why they're a part of this experience or why they're going after this experience.
So Michelle, you've had the conversations, you've been involved with those, kind of help our parents get through that.
I think in addition to everything that's already been said, I mean, one caveat that you don't want to talk about is money. What is the financial contribution and requirement and who's going to pay for what? You know, is the parent willing to pay whatever the fees are? Is there a certain expectation of we'll pay for this, but you have to work in the summers or on your holiday breaks, you know, to pay? But if there is a financial commitment, what exactly does that look like? And mutually agree ahead of time who's going to pay what. I know from having a daughter, you know, her first year, you know, t-shirts are really popular. We make a t-shirt for a lot of different events. They're fun. She bought every t-shirt and I, you know, as mom, I was like, whoa, okay, I'm not paying for any more t-shirts. Like the rest is on you. And we just had to have it mutually agreed of what the expectation was. So I think you need, other than the time commitment and all the other obvious things, you do need to look at the financial commitment if there is one, because I can't speak for all the groups. You know, decide ahead of time so you're not going to have a big war later or an attitude, you know, when that becomes an issue. The other thing that I've seen current girls get in trouble as an advisor is circumstances and life does happen, is to learn that if you do, you know what your financial commitment is, everything's fine, and then a life circumstance happens and things change. Talk to your chapter and talk to your leadership. Be upfront with them, like don't hold it in. Because I have found that most are going to work with you if at all possible. They want you to be successful. They want you to succeed. But a lot of people are afraid to bring it up and they get in trouble. And then you're going to get a late fine or something like that. And it's really unnecessary. Go ahead. Life happens to all of us, no matter what age we are. So go ahead and be comfortable and hit it head on. And again, if you do that, those are skills that are going to serve you well.
So Jesse, that has been a couple of questions that have come up. Cost commitment and time commitment. I know there's not an across the board answer that you're going to be able to give for either. But if we are having, as Michelle said, that conversation about cost, is there something that a parent can kind of have in their mind as a benchmark that they can assume, things that they should know are coming?
So the costs are always a little bit more upfront. So initiation fees and intake fees and different things like that. There is a little bit more on the front end. And then usually that's a one-time cost. I would say and correct me if I'm wrong, KJ, but for MGC and PHC, they're closer like $300, $500.
As far as the actual, you know, like state fees and things like that, so it ranges from about $500 to $2,500. Just because sometimes what some chapters will do is wrap up the student's career as far as fees in that first payment. That means you don't have to pay anything else maybe for the rest of the time that you're a student at ECU, which is a good thing. But it's according to the chapter. So each chapter has that, you know, that leg room, that wiggle room to kind of do that.
And that's something that our students, as they're going through these processes, should be asking, right? I mean, that's the more you know kind of thing is ask those questions. Don't be afraid to say, hey, how much time is this going to require of me? Or how much money is this going to require?
And there's the housing piece too. So for some of our groups that are housed, that fee will be a little bit more. I know some of our house groups get closer to the $1,000 to $1,200 range because there's that extra upkeep of managing the house, and they also have the resource of being able to be at that house, but that is a factor in that. So that's a really important question to ask during recruitment. I'll also do like my plug of like, have your student have some sort of buy-in and financial responsibility with this experience. We know that when they are paying for it themselves, they're putting a lot more into it and they're getting a lot more out of it. And so whether that's paying for all of it or paying for part of it or paying for the t-shirts that you don't need to buy every single one of, I promise. Those are all in storage now. But for sure, like have them have that buy-in because they'll get more out of the experience if they do.
So we only got about 5 or 6 minutes left, and if anybody has questions, please do post them for those watching live. Jesse, I want to talk a little bit. Greek life is in national headlines all over the country. There's a lot of things that people will formulate their own perceptions and different things, but I don't think what gets enough attention is the new programs, the new initiatives, the new resources, particularly that ECU has put into Greek life, the growth of staff. But I would like, because some of these you've started, talk about some of the new initiatives and support programs that Greek life staff in the university is committed to make Greek life better here.
So I'll say we're really lucky to have such support all the way up the chain in our department for Greek life. The chancellor's put together a task force to really support us moving forward and make sure that we're as successful as possible on campus. We've instilled a bunch of risk management programs for the fall and going into the spring, and they'll just become like clockwork for our students. So the first year they're going to get used to it, but then eventually it'll just be normal. So we're starting alcohol skills training program for all of our new member classes. And that's not a just say no to alcohol program, but it's not a just say yes. It informs students about how alcohol affects their body and how they can drink, but drink with the most like safe and least risk. We also are doing programming around bystander intervention, sexual assault. We're looking at mental health programming as much as possible because we know that's a huge, mental illness is a huge concern for a lot of our students right now, and how to navigate that can be really difficult. And then we're also touching on drugs. We've seen drugs across campus in Eastern North Carolina, and we're making sure that we're educating our students on how to get help for their friends and get help for their sisters and brothers.
I think it's important for folks to know, especially those thinking about deciding Greek life or not. ECU is very much on the front edge of a lot of what goes on in Greek life. There's a lot of folks that are being reactive. I think a lot of the programming that I've seen in the last year that you and Brandon, Dorothea, and John have put together are ahead of the curve. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think other schools are paying attention. Are they reaching out?
I hope so. We're really we're building a relationship with our conduct office to make sure accountability is at the forefront of our organizations. We're doing a Greek Emerging Leaders Retreat this fall that Brandon's put together, and that will help us bring some of the younger leaders up and make sure that everyone feels like no matter what their position is in their organization, they feel ownership over the organization and they can really come into their own. Leadership isn't positional, so we want to show students that through that program. So there's a lot of cool opportunities, and we have new things coming every day, and it's a really exciting time to be Greek at ECU because of that.
So KJ and Steve, I want to come to you, and then the follow-up is going to go to Michelle from a parent perspective. As students, you've probably heard the myths of Greek life, and maybe you heard them before you got here. What is maybe the biggest thing that you heard about Greek life, and then when you got involved in it, found out that it was just not true?
So for me, I kind of thought that it was going to be a lot of it. I'm a part of a social fraternity, so you kind of think it's all going to be social. But when I say that we are about business, we are about community, we are about giving back, and sleeping in on the day when it's time to go do street cleanup, it's not going to go. You know what I'm saying? Like the importance that my fraternity has put on the students, undergrad. That's a really good thing that I love about my particular fraternities. They have been able to really merge the gaps that you see a lot of times with graduate chapters and undergraduate chapters. So our graduate chapter and undergraduate chapter have a great relationship. And I think that that's really important, is having alumni be so involved. My experience has been really good because of the fact that I came in thinking it was gonna be a little bit more about partying, but when I turned around, it was, no, we get ready to get up and go to the nursing home. We're gonna get back to the kids. And so that was kind of a myth for me, is thinking that it was all gonna be the more social, hanging out type thing, drinking, doing whatever. But ultimately, it turned around and it's been a huge blessing to see that it's really about business. I really, become a little bit more polished by being a part of the fraternity experience.
I would say the same. About the same reasons, just bouncing off that. Definitely coming into it, thought it was just, social, everybody's having a good time, but it's not about your particular fraternity. Or, I'm in a fraternity. It's not about your particular organization, it's about Greek life as a whole and how you can help. And I think that the common misconception, even though it is social, it's just we do so many better things than the headlines show that we're not. They only want to highlight the bad things. I just got back from Congress in Orlando as my national fraternity. All the presidents and vice presidents attended. Seeing all of the chapters, and this is just ATO nationally. There's tons of other organizations, IFC, every other council. The things that we're doing, raising dollars, giving our man hours to help, the people in need, to help other organizations. I think we come together as a whole as far as Greek life is concerned, and that's definitely a common misconception. So I think if people know that, it's going to bring a lot more people into Greek life than we would think, and it's definitely going to help raise that awareness and raise the quality of Greek life.
Michelle, how about from a parent perspective, maybe going in, is there something that parents tend to believe that's really not true?
Well, I think the myths stay the same from back when I was at ECU in the late 80s, 90s to you buy your friends. If I had a nickel for every time, I was told personally, or my daughter, that you buy your friends. That's so not true. You're going to spend money on something. And again, it's the investment. It's not just the Animal House, people running around naked in togas. That's just not the reality, but that's what the media and society tells us it is. It is so much about the community and community service. And through my day job, I actually get to come to campus and work with these organizations. I run the animal shelter here in our town. So they invite the dogs to campus, and I've met so many Greek men and women that these are the most amazing young men and women. They are smart, they're talented, they're giving, they're selfless. They are the ones that are going to take care of me in a nursing home. So, we have the brightest and the best. And so you kind of have to take like all news with a grain of salt, I think, in these days. But, especially from a girl, they think they're all preppy and they're dumb and they just wear lily. And it's so not true. Even when I went through, I was so the non-typical stereotype. I'm going to do my own thing and you're not going to tell me what to do. And, I was kind of the rebel, and that's okay. Because there is a place for everybody to fit, and you don't have to change to fit. And a lot of people just think you're all the same, but each organization is made up of so many unique individuals, and that's what it's about, and that's what makes it thrive and grow. Just like life, we're all different. You're always going to interact with somebody that doesn't maybe think the same way that you do, or look like you, or dress like you. But I think Greek life, and particularly ECU, does a good job of saying, that's okay, we want you for who you are. And let's help each other and build each other up.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Last question, we're going to start with Steve and go right on down, and then we'll wrap up. And it's a pretty open question. You may have already even mentioned it once or twice throughout the course of this. But for our parents and family that are watching, what is something that's the one nugget from our conversation today, or something that maybe hasn't been mentioned, that you really think they should take with them as their student gets ready to start? So Steve, if you don't mind.
I'd say I've touched on it, the opportunities for growth. I really think that coming into this, I didn't think I could have all these opportunities come my way. And, now going into my internship, going into my senior year, I'm taking a step back and looking at what I've accomplished here at ECU. And you just really have to understand that putting yourself out there is really going to benefit you in the long run and make you more successful in life.
I would say that just to remember that almost every council that's represented here has scholarship and service in their mission and in their goals. So, don't let what you see prevent you from allowing your student to go into Greek life. They will have, put their school work at the forefront, and they will, want your student to be service-led, and just to remember that, they need to get out there. They need to explore these opportunities while they have the chance, because they're only an undergrad one time.
Jesse?
I would say find your team. So whether that's women or men in other organizations, or that's staff members on campus or alumni that you come into contact with, finding your team while you're here, and that Greek life can be a huge part of that, is really powerful. And will support you past your time here at ECU.
I think this is more so for parents who are alone, who might have been a part of different organizations. It's just allowing your child or, that student to find their own organization, to then find their own organization. Don't join organizations based off of clout or what you see nationally, but join the organization that you're going to serve with on a day-to-day basis. These are the people that you're going to link arms with, serve the community with, that you're going to be, become friends with and build brotherhood and sisterhoods with. So make sure that you're joining the organization that really fits you and not what your friends or maybe even what your parents is. So.
Mamas and daddies, let them go. It is so hard. I have a senior, I still struggle every time she comes back for a new semester. But again, to kind of tag team on what's already been said, really let it be about their journey. Use it as a platform to listen non-judgmentally, step in when need, but it can be a door to open for conversation to find out what they're doing while they're at school, but really let it be about their journey. It needs to be about their uniqueness and their journey, and what worked for me may not be the best for them. So really just be there to support and trust that you've instilled in them the skill sets and the life lessons that they need, and let them fly and enjoy it.
So we're coming to a wrap up. I think for my piece of advice to parents and families will be as for the new folks coming in, you're getting ready to move in next week. I know it's hard to believe for all of us that summer's already come and gone, but you're going to move in next week and you're going to drop them off and let them, as many have said, take steps and grow. Have conversations with them now, but also have conversations once the semester starts. Make sure that they're getting out and getting engaged. Those first 3 or 4 weeks are really important in a new student's college career, even if it's not Greek life. And while all of these folks are heavily endorsing Greek life, and we all are, because we think it's a great experience, finding out where you fit is a really big deal. And as a parent, your role in that is to help them kind of blend and transition into that. So stay involved, but don't make the decisions for them and don't act for them. But definitely stay involved, because as parents, you're part of Pirate Nation too. So I want to thank each of our guests for being part of this conversation today. And thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you again soon.